Last episode, I was working on cutting bed framing while Justin worked on the electrical switchboard. Now it's the fun part because we get to install all of our hard work. Just a girl and her man building out a big van. It's a JessaJayVlogs fan build out series. I do not normally wrap that intro. Fun fact, subscribe if I should never do that again. I thought I was in for an evening working by myself, but lo and behold. How's it going?
I'm home.
How was the Kreg?
It was great. I can't feel my fingers.
My sisters live above me in this old house that was converted into little mini apartments. And that works out well when you want to work late into the night, but you also live in kind of a sketchy area. So you recruit your sister so that you have maybe a 50% less possibility of being kidnapped and dying. We made it safely. I can barely walk in here. They're so dysfunctional to us. Who, me or you? Both of us. Oh, equally. And caffeine. Are you twerking?
No.
Hannah? No!
Hannah!
No! Alright, that's enough shenanigans for the night. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Tonight's objective, simply adding a 1x1 to the bed frame. We had to make sure it wasn't slanted whatsoever, as this will hold the support for the mattress. Simple tasks in the van are such a morale boost, and so is installing the electrical board we made into the floor. To me, this felt like our very first piece of van furniture, and that was extremely exciting. We used L brackets to get it fastened down to the floor. Then Justin was back at it the next day, adding in one of the walls that I had primed and painted the night before. Then he's adding our fuse box, dim lighting switches, as well as our display for our electric setup. And if you're wondering where I am throughout this entire process, I am editing profusely outside on my laptop, trying to get caught up with vlogs. And as you can tell, yes, that is our friends in the background just chilling on their chairs while we work. Once Justin got to a stopping point on electrical work, it was time to get all of our wall panels cut for inside the van. Making these long cuts with a circular saw was challenging, but you use the tools you have available to you. Not perfect, but it is! We went ahead and fixed those spots we deemed imperfect, and then it was time to go back to stencil making for the walls, which is one of my least favorite van tasks. It feels like we're getting nothing accomplished, and we're basically just cutting and taping together a bunch of box pieces. But before I knew it, it was over, and it was time to start cutting these wall panels. We placed both the panels together, that way I could cut them both at the same time, which in hindsight I realized might have been a little too much pressure, and my perfectionism really got the best of me on this cut. Oh, I'm not happy with that. Oh, you're so stupid. Why did you cut it there? Obviously, I was very frustrated and working myself up a lot. What is wrong with you?
I think you need to take this.
Ah! I don't know why it's doing that.
I don't know either, but I'll hold it down. Yeah, that's good. That looks good. That's not bad, Jess. The whole thing was like flopping. I know.
Do you really
Oh.
Good catch.
That was a really good catch.
That would have been my lens. Oh my gosh, it's recording!
Why can this not be a straight line?
Because the van isn't straight, so if the line was straight, then it
How
would
is
be
the
wrong.
van not straight?
Nothing in the van is straight. As per usual, I added some mold killing primer to all of these boards, while my sister helped get them all sanded down before they got painted. I couldn't help but stare at these power lines and think about when I would be looking at mountains or maybe Walmart parking lots, but not these power lines anymore. Anyways, so many random van tasks happening in this episode. Here we're clamping down the structural beam, which will eventually be for the upper cabinets. Honestly, drilling pilot holes here is like an educated guessing game because you can't see the beam behind it, and guess what? There's some gaps in it.
We miss.
We had to mill around a little bit to make sure the holes were big enough for the steel-threaded inserts that we had to put here. Whoa, that really pulled you in.
Yeah, it did.
Then we used a special inserter tool to actually get these in the wall, and let me tell you, that thing was hard to pinch. Once those inserts were finally in, we sent our machine screws through, and then bam! We got our structural beam for our upper cabinets. We will need a second one, so we went ahead and installed some inserts on the ceiling too.
And there we go. So because we always work with the doors open, we didn't realize that this bar here comes in and rubs on this right here. And that comes all the way back and it hits our light switch for in the garage.
Thankfully, this was a pretty easy fix. We marked out the section of wood we needed to remove in just a few minutes with a drill bit and the jigsaw, and it got the task done. Here's the test. It goes! Then it was time to start working on those wall panels again. Justin and I both worked together to create holes in the walls for electrical outlets, light switches, etc. Basically all the things that are gonna go on our walls. And I was stoked because that meant today was the day we got to cover most of the wool insulation with our wall panels. Our friend Nick came over to help us with this while Justin drilled yet another hole in the van. This one's for our AC inlet port, which basically allows us to hook up to electricity in the same way an RV would. We wanted to make sure we had an alternative power option to our solar in case of continuous cloudy days. Solar's great till it's not.
Close your eyes, hear the voice within, calling. This heavy load got under your skin, howling. You got the white knuckles holding on the tight, keeping your feelings bottled up inside, heading for collision.
You alright?
Yep,
You got a head still?
I do.
Good.
Today we're at our friend Jarrett's workshop and it's super windy and cold, but we're trying to tough it out because today's cabinet day. That meant it was time to install that upper support beam into the inserts we placed, which went smoother than expected. Then we traced the stencils we made for the sides of the cabinets and we began to make our cuts.
Oh, it's so close.
Yeah, it's close. It's very close.
Breathe in, breathe out. Hey, come to life. Breathe
Okay.
in, breathe out.
It's beautiful.
Look at the colors, colors, colors.
I was not feeling well on this day, having a lot of stomach issues, so Justin did the majority of the cutting while I just sat and died a little bit. But there was absolutely no way I was letting this stomach ache stop me from using a nail gun for the first time ever.
Alright, you gonna go? Good.
Oh, I missed twice? How is that possible?
I think it's important to mention here that we're using the nail gun as a reinforcement, not as actual structural integrity for the cabinets. So please use screws in your cabinets, not just a nail gun. It will fall off the ceiling. Now I'm creating the front framing for the cabinets, which is gonna make them look stellar. And meanwhile, Justin and Jarrett are partying in the van. To create framing in an aesthetically pleasing way, I'm using the Kreg pocket hole jig, which has become one of my new favorite tools. It's pretty easy to use, and it creates pretty much exactly what it's called, just little pocket holes to put your screws through so that they aren't visible from the outside. Making this was really fun. Sometimes I really appreciate repetition in tasks, and when you can finally just kind of turn off your brain and do the same thing over and over again, and that's what this little ladder-looking cabinet front was like. And now it was time for the real test, and she fits! Thanks for joining us in this episode of the van build. I think it was one of my personal favorites. And join us next episode while we build our kitchen. Subscribe because it's free, and really nothing's free these days, so that's rare. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, stay safe, bye!